Hey you, were you born in the 90s? If so, you probably experienced a lot of really cool things. Like Y2K, I hear it was a great time. Everything from the shows that you watched to the growing entertainment online. Everything was expanding to new and creative heights. But personally, I was born in 1998. What the fuck is that? That shit. Ooh. Personally, I was born in 1998. Aw, look at how cute I was. What happened? While I didn't really get to experience the true 90s, I had two older brothers that did, and they hogged all the new games and watched all the new movies, so I was stuck with all their leftovers, like Three Ninjas on VHS. But even then, we only had one computer and one TV. If you do the math, you can probably tell I wasn't even able to do a lot of the stuff I wanted to, and I just had to watch them. And let me tell you, when I first saw them rip the ears off of Furbies on Newgrounds, I was intrigued. All I could think was, what? Mom didn't buy us this. She would never do that. What the fuck? Turns out, when I wasn't even conceived yet, and my family was probably much happier, there was a lot of companies releasing scripting languages software for free that allowed people to create media and put it right online. You have software like HTML, Macromedia Flash, hell even Java was throwing their pecker around. I play Minecraft on that! No, not Minecraft, it was more like card games on this neat little site. Soon enough, people started making interactive browser games that were later named Flash games. And while these games range from very simple card games to whatever the hell this is, it resonated with a lot of people because it was just there for free. And if you were a young dumb dork like me with no money and a mother that was unwilling to buy you more games, well honey, why don't you just play the Glover game I bought you? I just bought you the Glover game. Because that game is 4 years old. You got it from the bargain bin. It's not even remotely playable. I just want to play Jack and Daxter, Mom. If that was the case for you two, then guess what? Free games, no matter how weird or dumb they were, was a lot better than Glover. So I, for one, played the hell out of all the Flash games I could find in the early to mid 2000s, because even though I was a stupid, dumb baby, I was still able to ask Jeeves, and he was able to take me to all the Flash game sites I could possibly want. Sites like Miniclip, Neopets, AddictingGames.com, the Newgrounds, all got hugely popular in the mid 2000s. And while I'm pretty sure my computer got every type of ad word possible from playing on addicting games, I really want to play balloons. So while I may have ruined my computer, bro, you should have seen it. I got like all the balloons in like 1 or 2 dart throws. I'm what you call an epic gamer. And though most short form Flash games were free, some websites offered them for a price. Sometimes you had to pay subscriptions, other times you had to pay upwards of $20 for goddamn Alice Green Fingers. Or you had to buy the physical item to play the online browser game. Like Webkinz, if you remember that craze. It was like Beanie Babies, but for Zoomers. I mean, it was to be expected that as time went on, Flash games would become more than just free to play. But I was like 9 years old in 2007. I spent all my allowance on SpongeBob merchandise. I don't have the money to both buy a Flash game and SpongeBob merch, do I? That's when Big Dick Nickelodeon came in, slimed me with everything I could ever want as a kid. Sounds kind of bad, now that I say it out loud. Flash games were hitting their peak around the mid-2000s, so of course Nickelodeon was gonna see that and try to swoop in and steal all the money that they could from impressionable kids. And that's exactly what they did with Nick Arcade. No, it had nothing to do with Nick Arcade that aired in the 90s, but they both have games on it. So why not bastardize the name with shitty Flash games? Didn't matter the IP, nothing was safe from Nickelodeon's grasp. Fairly Odd Parents, Avatar, Rocket Power, they all had Flash games. But more importantly, they were catering to me with SpongeBob Flash games. You like Diner Dash? They had that. You like 3D obstacle courses? SpongeBob did that too. Not well, but they did it. You like goddamn Wii bowling? They did that back in the fucking Ice Age, man. It's been done. Nick Arcade was Nickelodeon's plunge into the pay-to-play Flash game market, And while their main site, Nick.com, did have free games to play on there, they weren't really fleshed out or good. So even though the only games I really wanted to play were on Nick Arcade and they costed a nice chunk of change, I didn't care. I wanted those SpongeBob games. So like any other 9-year-old with no money and a mother that didn't want to buy any more games, I asked my grandma to buy it for me. And bless her soul, she actually did. And I still have one of the games in its original packaging to this day. And yes, I mean packaging because while they were Flash games available for download online, they also wanted to send this cute little backup CD so, you know, your grandma didn't think she lost all of her money giving her credit card information to a sketchy looking website. It came with my username and password right on the disc, so even to this day, I can still play them long after the demise of Nick Arcade. But the contents of this disc and pretty much everything else on Nick Arcade, how do you say it? It's trash. It's garbage. It's terrible. Now to be fair, Nick.com was not a bad site. Sure, it had questionable message boards. Sure, maybe they advertised a little too much. And sure, most of the games on there were just reskins of other existing games with no real effort put into them. But like, dude, have you seen SpongeBob squeak his boots about hating patties? Bro, I gotta like send this to my friend, he'll love that. Nick Arcade, on the other hand, was such a disaster that no amount of counseling can help me forget my disappointment in buying a game that felt like I was drunk in GTA 4, but lathered in slime. There was a number of shitty Flash games released on Nick.com, but they were all free, so I guess like the videos I create, they're not really worth holding up to any real standard. The shitty Flash games I do care about are the ones that they tried selling for $20 fucking. And they still use stock images from the show. All of these SpongeBob games were just unoriginal scams, plain and simple. And as you see the library, you'll probably understand why. First, let's take a peek at Crabby Quest that was released on Nick Arcade in May of 2005. It's a basic puzzle game where the goal is to collect all the Krabby Patties on each individual level. And once you collect them all, you win. The puzzles are either one of two things. It's either push this box from point A to point B, or it's that one gem from Pokemon. Okay, the puzzles aren't that great, but what about the 3D presentation, the graphics? Now I'm sure that the 3D graphics were interesting for a Flash game at the time, so I'm not gonna bash it for that. But what I will bash it for is that it's just a ripoff of another game made by the same company with the same source code and the same gameplay. It seems kind of scummy to me, but you know what? Benefit of the doubt. Maybe the next game will be better, right? In comes Spongebob Squarepants 3D Obstacle Odyssey. This was actually quite successful for Nick Arcade, as it got a sequel, which, spoiler alert, many of these games did not get sequels. When I was a young, impressionable child, they advertised this game to me on like every single page I visited on Nick.com, along with Bleeposaurus. Guess which one I bought? That's right. I like to think I had some sort of standard. I bought Bleeposaurus. I'm kidding, but honestly, with how much of a disappointment Obstacle Odyssey was, I probably should have bought Bleeposaurus. It doesn't look half bad. This game controls really poorly and is very boring and repetitive. I was expecting something more like the Marble Blast series, where they use momentum to its advantage and creative designs for each level that you're on. It wasn't like that at all. Didn't do any of that, actually. The only upside I can think of in this entire game is seeing the monstrous 3D models for all the characters. Squidward, you doing okay over there, pal? Looks like you got your legs super glued together. And I will admit, I did chuckle one time seeing Mr. Krabs murder SpongeBob in cold blood. He'll do anything for fucking cash, dude. Don't mess with him. This game was utterly disappointing to me and was an obvious cash grab. The developers literally reskinned one of their own games called Best Friends Forever and called it a day. Literally, every level in this game, every title for the goddamn level in this game, is all just a reskin of Best Friends Forever. The only differences in this game from Best Friends Forever is the models, textures, and the looping music that haunts me to this day. Just keeps going. It doesn't stop. Is it getting louder? So yeah, This game is just a rip of another game. Are you starting to see the pattern here? All the other SpongeBob releases on Nick Arcade were just knockoffs of already existing titles. 3D Pinball, Collapse, whatever this game is ripping off, I don't know what it is. Every bowling game ever, and shuffleboard? Yeah, shuffleboard is exactly what I wanted to play as a 9-year-old. Maybe I'll play with my grandpa. All these games were full price, $20. They should have been free. Now, the worst Flash game by far was probably the one with the most potential in it too, called SpongeBob Atlantis Square Off. It almost looked like a polished game. It had decent music, yes, it still had some stock images in there, but most of the art style was cute and fun and unique. The gameplay was a cool mix of a card collector and a turn-based RPG, and it reminded me a lot of Fire Emblem, so I was super into it as a kid. So even though I was disappointed by the last game that I got from Nick Arcade, I asked my grandma to buy me one more game. And as a kid, I remember having fun with this game. I never figured out how to beat it though, and I thought maybe I just sucked at the game, so I stored it away and decided that I'd play it another time when I was more powerful. It became Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village. But as I replayed this game, I realized why I could not beat it. The game doesn't work. It lulls you into a false security in the first 20 minutes being a fun, enjoyable experience, and then you get to World 3. And, why is there so many Squidwards all around me? It's kind of scary. You can't beat this level. The developers left in a game-breaking bug where the first level of World 3 sends you to a dev room where they just tested things out, so there was no real way to beat it. It never got fixed by the developers either, so you were just left with this unplayable game, and Nick Arcade didn't have any refund policies. And now, to be fair, there is a fix to this game-breaking bug. All you have to do is go into the game's map folder, delete the misnamed dev room, and rename the correct map to the proper title. Doing that as an adult took me about 30 seconds. Now, as a child, I never figured out how to do it. I could barely open up a can of SpaghettiOs. You expect me to fix a goddamn Flash game? Nick Arcade was a scam that sold low-quality games for a high price in hopes that maybe a kid would buy it because their favorite Nickelodeon characters in it. And doing this video and looking back at Nick Arcade has really shown me how far the gaming industry has come since then. So even though I fell into the trap of a greedy company at a young age, I'm glad to see that we're going a different direction now. Oh wait, never mind. I forgot that they still do that, but on mobile. Huh. The moral of the story kind of got blown out of the water. I need a new one now. I guess the moral of the story is Nick Arcade sucked. SpongeBob had really bad Flash games. Yeah, that's it. The video's over. I have nothing else to say here. Yeah, go home.